Hello, hello. Mary Smooth, MaryKay Smooth here. How you doing today, guys? It's so hot and humid. I'm beat down. The dogs don't want to go outside. I just dropped something. Hold on a second, guys. I just dropped my cream for the night. Yes, I got it. Okay. It's been so hot and humid today. I don't even want to go outside. For real. But we gotta do what we gotta do. But now my dogs are barking because it's trying to be a storm. But I'm doing okay. How about you? You see the skin is holding up. We're gonna do the whole thing today. In fact, I might as well start. And you see my cleanser and take off the glasses. So yesterday was Daddy's birthday. Um, my father was born in 1927. So he would have been 97 yesterday. And I put his picture up in Facebook. I put up actually one of the pictures from when he first met my mother, when he was the football coach at Allen University in Columbia, South Carolina. And Evelyn was they were scandalous because Evelyn was a student, but Daddy was 18 when he was no, actually he was 19 when he first started coaching there. And so mommy was not much younger than him, just 3 years younger than him. So Daddy, he liked her. She was pretty and he was handsome. So they they dated, but that's scandalous. In fact, they met at the first athletic event because mommy got a college scholarship for basketball and academics, and Daddy was the football coach, and he taught science there. So they had a sports dinner for all the people on the teams to meet, and Daddy can Daddy could play the piano. Reverend, all of his kids could play a couple of instruments. Sis was the most accomplished pianist, though, my aunt. We called her Sis, by the way. Her name was Nellie, but we called her Sis. Um, she was the most accomplished pianist. And like I told you last time, she was a contralto, and she sang professionally at a Presbyterian church in New York City. And she also had a concert at the Carnegie Hall. And she sang for President Roosevelt's wife, I think, came through North Carolina, and they sang for the president's wife. Her school. So Daddy could play. He was impressive because he could play classical, Bach, Beethoven, that kind of stuff. And Claire de Lune, oh my God, Daddy could play that. So, you know, he's at a baby grand piano, and we never had the picture, but mommy and daddy told us that night mommy somehow ended up sitting on the baby grand with her legs crossed while daddy was playing, and they took a picture of it, but we never saw the picture. But that's where they met, and it was magic after that, because Evelyn was pretty good looking, and so was Charlie. And then Charlie had the suave and debonair, but remember I told you he was also um, known as Don Juan Johnson. But Don Juan didn't Don Juan Evelyn. Ah, Lord. But yeah. So mommy and daddy got married while mommy was still in college. So daddy stayed. I think that it probably did cause a situation, but mommy came to Newark, and daddy finished out the year of her second year of college. But things were different then because my mother's father was not. He was. He believed his beliefs were. Archaic. Well, not archaic for that time, because if you talk to women that were born in the 30s, didn't, black women, they didn't necessarily, depending on where they were from, they didn't necessarily think they would grow up and go to college. They thought they would get married. And my grandfather thought that my mother shouldn't go to college, that she should get married. And so my mother was always defiant. So mommy got a basketball scholarship and academics, and grandma helped her go to college. She was only going about an hour from their home. She lived on campus, though, of course. And when my grandmother helped her, my grandfather told her she had to leave. So my grandmother, when my mother came to college, my grandmother came to New York and stayed with my uncle Buster, and she cleaned houses to make money to help mommy. And so what I noticed is that women that were in that kind of situation, they got married. And my Aunt Mary did too. My Aunt Mary, she didn't stay around with my grandfather and the tyranny. She got married and came north. Mommy Mommy was defiant. Aunt Mary was more calm, and she accepted a lot of my grandfather's. Uh, he had the money and everything. My grandmother didn't have any. It was all his money, and everything was his. So it was a it was a bad situation. But a lot of women in from the South experienced that, white and black, and they married young and everything to get out or to follow along with that. You're going to get married and have children and be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. But mommy wasn't that girl. Because actually, granddaddy asked mommy and Aunt Mary to go and get a job in the cotton field. And Aunt Mary did, but mommy didn't. Mommy went downtown and got her job at a dry cleaners, and she voluntarily did the payroll so she could get two yellow envelopes, and she put half of her money in one and half in the other because my grandfather wanted the money. So she gave him half and she gave my grandmother the other half, so that when my grandfather was doing his thing, that they had food to eat and everything. So mommy was always defiant when it came to that kind of stuff. So mommy got her chance and she left. And she just lucked up and married a good dude. She knew when she saw him that he was definitely not from the same kind of thoughts. He didn't have the same thoughts as my grandfather, and his father didn't either. My father's father was more progressive, and he pushed education. That was how you could change your situation, was to get an education, and that's why mommy went for it, and it availed her to a better life. So yeah, they met at the awards the athletic dinner, and that was the beginning of Charlie and Evelyn. Um, that piano, daddy could play about maybe 12 of those classical songs. And I'm telling you, that worked for him. There's a story. One time me and daddy and mommy went to Ray Katina to get cars. And me and mommy were talking to the salesman, trying to get and daddy, and trying to cut the deal for him and me. And yeah, that was before teaching. That was IBM money, so it was different than teaching money. Teaching money doesn't can't afford you can't afford that kind of stuff. So we're cutting the deal, and daddy sees in the Edison location of Ray Katina, there is a very nice baby grand piano. And most of our lives, wherever we went, if there was a piano, daddy was going to he was going to sit down and just think. He was going to hit it. So daddy's in Ray Katina, and Ray Katina Edison has got a big showroom, the Mercedes section. So daddy's, like I told you, that Claire de Lune. And all of a sudden, Ray Katina comes out of his office because he hears the music. And daddy goes for it. Daddy. My father was funny, and he went for it. So daddy was playing and playing, and Ray Katina's standing there, and me and mommy are trying to cut the deal for the two cars. And Ray Katina walks over to us and the salesman, and he says, "Ron Cohen, when you finish, bring their deal to me. I'm gonna bless this." And he hooked us up, and me and daddy, we were leasing. Well, daddy was buying and leasing because daddy put more miles. I didn't put a lot of miles on cars because I was working in New York a lot, and so I was leasing. And we did about 15 between the two of us. Even after mommy passed away, daddy had to get another car because his car, it was like a flash flood. And that year of the S class, it was something wrong with the drainage system outside, and it killed his car, the electrical system. So when my mother passed that night, she told me, she said, make sure your dad, he likes to play golf, and he loves a good toy. That's his car. And she said, just make sure he's happy. And so my dad, when the car wouldn't start, we got it towed into Ray Katina. And we went to the back to the service, and Guido, the service manager, told us $10,000. I said, Daddy, take us up to the front. So we went to the sales part, and I looked around, looked at them S's. I said, can you take my father in that gunmetal gray? Take him for a ride. By the time he came back, we was ready to sign and get on out of there. And he only stayed alive like 3 months. But my daddy was happy. He got his toy. Now I'm sorry, y'all. You know what that did to me. That made me sad. So I'm going to keep on going. Whew. Yeah. That was my papa, though. He loved them. He loved them Mercedes girls. And it's so crazy. Daddy got me good. When we got that, all right, mommy was the one that actually bought the first Mercedes. And daddy was a Cadillac man. He talked a lot of trash when she got that first car. Oh, it drives like Sharon and Maria's Volvo, because my sister had gotten a Volvo, and I liked it. So I got one too. That's when I was first working at IBM. And so mommy got a 280E. That's when the 280s were out. That was the first Mercedes. And Daddy talked that junk. And then all of a sudden, Daddy started liking it. And it was hysterical, y'all, because the Cadillac, Daddy had a new Cadillac, and Daddy stopped driving that joker. It only got driven when somebody was going for service. Daddy wasn't driving, he was driving mommy's car. And Daddy was so rough on a daggone key. So we all had keys to mommy's car. So Daddy would say, Maria, let me see your keys. And when you got your keys back, your new good looking key was gone, and Daddy's old beat up key was there. So Daddy, so then Daddy liked it. So then Daddy went and got a 400E was the second one, and I loved it. The commercial for the Mercedes was a bat out of hell. And so Daddy had a black one, and Globe had I had bought a that was before, this is when I'm going into my first one. I had the first Grand Cherokee that Jeep made, and I paid for it real quick because that's when the IBM money was starting to get good. And when I paid for it, I knew that my trading value was high. So they were selling Daddy's model, the 400E. His year, it was like 2 years old. They were selling them. And I knew that I could trade my car and maybe $6,000 financing. So they had almost every color. So I said, Daddy, ride with me up to Globe Mercedes. So me and Daddy rolled up there. And I said, Daddy, they got like 6 colors. What color you like? He said, I don't like none of them. I said, Daddy, how, what are you talking about? You got one of them. He said, I like that over there. A S class, y'all. It was a used S class because I was going to get a 2-year-old E class. I said, Daddy, I can't afford that. You know, the salesman ain't talked to me. The salesman took Daddy for a test drive, and I sat in the back. When we came back from the test drive, Daddy said, look, I really want this car. What you gonna do? He said, you can drive mine. And I want that. Oh my God. Oh my God. And actually, today is the 2nd. We picked that car up on July the 31st, the day before Daddy's birthday. And Daddy had the 400E, and we got a S320, I think it was then. And it was a former CEO's car. It had bulletproof windows. So Daddy was, I mean, he was done. And when he was riding around in Newark, the kids was, when he stopped at a stoplight, they go like this. Daddy was done. You hear me? Daddy was done. He never, he hardly ever drove the E. I drove, my mother had a Jeep. I ended up driving the Jeep and the E when I wanted to. I would go, I had keys for Daddy we always had keys. Me and Sharon always had keys to the cars. And we could drive. Daddy wasn't like that. You could drive his stuff. He didn't care. So Daddy, I shouldn't say. Daddy said, riding home, I'm a two bins dude now. And I'm being clean with what he said, but he the two. And so daddy would drop my cousin Joy to Joy had started staying with them. He would drop her off to her school and then take him to drop mommy off at her school and go to work. And then after school, when they worked in the playground, because I told you my parents worked two jobs most of our lives, when they were teaching to give me and Sharon the stuff and do the things they wanted to do. And he would go home, and my father would get the hose and rinse his car, the second car off to get the dust off, and drive back in the second. Pick mommy up from work at the end of work in the second one. Charlie rolled with two. And after that E, he got a second S. He rode with two S's. And later on, we even picked up a used Bentley. Daddy loved toys and golf. Charlie, when in his older years, Daddy had fun. He had worked. He worked all his life to take care of me and Sharon, him and mommy. So he talked me into that, and Daddy rode that thing. He called it the cathedral. That Benz, that used Benz that I traded my car against. He called it the cathedral, and he ain't never he s'd all the way out. After that, every 3 years, mommy, we went and got Daddy and me. And that's why we knew Ray Katina and everybody out there, the brother-in-law, the son-in-law, Mr. Zimmerman, the head of the finance, the general manager for the service. We knew all of them jokers because we was, and they wanted Daddy. Ray Katina always wanted Daddy to play that daggone piano. But then they opened up Union location, and that was right near the house. So we didn't hardly go to Edison no more after that, except for sometimes for service. Okay, so I got my retinol on. Oh, I ain't even bless you with the site today in the retinol pool. And I gotta put on my line reducer. And the line reducer, by the way, y'all, is lasting a real long time because I'm not even halfway in the bottle. And I used this since April. And I'm like here in the bottle. So, that'll last a long time. And oh, I can't talk price. Oh, by the way, let me tell y'all before we end this thing. All right, I started a group called the Powerful Gracefuls, because that's we graceful. We are middle aged and graceful, and you young girls could come to and learn something about grace from the old girls. And in the group, I'll be able to offer you specials and things and talk pricing. I can't do that in this general thing, so I'm going to all the people that have bought stuff or that have gotten a facial, I'm going to invite you to the group, Powerful Gracefuls. Okay? And I need you to join the group so you can know when I come on. After a while, I'll phase out this public thing and it'll be shorties, where I'll invite you to the Powerful Graceful, or I tell you we get ready to have a special on Monday or Wednesday or Friday, and if you want to participate, and then I'll be able to offer you buy two get one half off, things like that. The travel bag with your if you buy a kit. So I'm telling you now, That's what's happening. I'm going to go into a group because I have to, in order to really target and tell you prices and offer you specials, I have to do that in private. Not they Mary Kay has rules about discussing prices in public. Okay. So guys, love you. Having fun. It was a little, man, I was almost in tears a couple of times that they talking about that Charlie Johnson. My father and mother, they was a trip. I ain't gonna lie. That's why I got so many stories, because they exposed us to so many things. I ain't even really, I haven't been through hardcore through the Tammy Terrell time, because we was running around meeting this one and that one. And, Tammy gave us our special time because me and Sharon couldn't go to the clubs and stuff. We only could go to real concerts, but we moved around. So, yeah, Evelyn and Charles really, they were dynamic, and the environment was so rigorous that we have fun. Okay, guys, Monday. See you. Bye bye. We might have company. I think we're going to have company next week.